Thanks for joining me for a tour of NetRef, a simple-to-use tool that will help you minimize distractions, maximize learning, and measure EdTech usage and impact. Once we get started, you'll see just how easy NetRef makes it to monitor and manage the internet and application use of your students, whether they're learning in the classroom or at home. You'll be spending most of your time in the NetRef Teacher Dashboard. This is your main hub. From this dashboard, you'll be able to monitor and manage your students' internet and application access, and view internet and app usage reports. You'll access the Teacher Dashboard by navigating to your school's NetRef website, which is the screen you see here. You can access this page from any browser on any device. The website will be yourschoolname.net-ref.com. Your administrator will have this URL for you. Log into your school's website using your district email address and the password emailed to you by your NetRef administrator. If your district uses Google for email, you can also log in using Google's single sign-on. If you ever forget your password, simply click on the Forget Password link and we will quickly email you a new one along with instructions for resetting your password to one you'll remember. Let's go ahead and log in. Welcome to the NetRef Teacher Dashboard. You know you're in the right place when you look at the upper left-hand corner of the page and see NetRef Teacher. To the right, directly across from that, you'll find your name with a drop-down to access account preferences and support. Now let's review the rest of the Teacher Dashboard. Listed along the left-hand side of the screen will be the schools where you teach and the classes you teach at each school. In this example, the teacher is an instructor at East High School and West Middle School. If you click on each school name, you'll see a list of every class this teacher has at each of those schools. Right now, we're looking at the class roster for an English 101 course. To view a different class roster, simply click on the name of the course. The screen in the middle of your dashboard will automatically update to show the students enrolled in the selected class. Now we're looking at Science 7. A quick note, we'll work with your school's IT team in advance to sync NetRef with your student information system so that all of your class and student information is in your account when you log in for the first time. After logging in, take a moment to make sure all your classes and students appear correctly. Let your NetRef administrator know if you see any issues. Let's take a closer look at a class. Each student is represented by a square or tile. From this tile, you can monitor your students' activity and apply rules to keep them engaged and on task. We'll dive into that more in just a minute. On the right-hand side of the dashboard are buttons that allow you to lock students into select websites, push websites out to students, send messages, share your screen, and more. Before we dive into these controls, let's go back to our English 101 course and review how to manage and monitor individual student activity. There are 15 students in this class, all working on different assignments. You can tell what assignments they're working on by looking at the screenshot on each student's tile. Clara is on Khan Academy, and Colin is working on Duolingo. However, Caitlin is on Instagram, and Jessie is on YouTube. If you want to get a closer look at what Caitlin and Jessie are looking at, click on the magnifying glass in the top right corner of the image. That will enlarge the screenshot so you can see whether Jessie is on task or learning about a new game. What's great about NetRef is that it gives you a number of options for allowing internet use for your class and lets you get students back on task in a click. You'll see Caitlin is still on Instagram. Let's get her back on task. When you click on a student's tile, 4 buttons appear. The green checkmark button is on, and the circle next to Caitlin's name is green, which means she's allowed to visit any website. Clicking on the X button blocks her access to the internet and changes the circle on Caitlin's tile to red. Caitlin will get a message on her screen telling her she's not allowed to be on Instagram right now. Once she's back on task, you can click the checkmark button to restore Caitlin's ability to visit any site. These top 2 buttons are essentially your internet on and off switches. The button in the bottom left activates the Allow list. This button lets you choose exactly which websites students can access in your classroom at any given time. During testing periods, some NetRef schools use the Allow list to grant students access to a single assessment website. Or they use it to focus learning by selecting several sites around a particular subject that they want students to access. When the Allow list is in effect, a student's tile is orange. The block list is the opposite of the allow list. Click on the button in the bottom right to turn a student's tile to blue and prevent access to specific websites you don't want students visiting, like Instagram and YouTube. Each of these 4 rules, allow all, block all, allow only, and block only, can also be applied to the entire English 101 class. The same 4 buttons on the student tiles also appear on the top right-hand side of the dashboard. The rules work the same way they do for individual students, but when clicked over here, are applied to the whole class. Green, everyone in English 101 is allowed to access the whole internet. Red, the whole class is blocked from accessing the internet. Orange, students can only visit the sites that you've allowed. Blue, students are blocked from visiting the sites you've specified, but otherwise can access the internet. Before you can apply rules like the allow list and block list, you have to set them up. These powerful features let you customize internet access by selecting specific websites students are allowed or not allowed to visit. The decision is yours, and it won't affect the rest of your school's internet access. Only the students in the class you create the rules for. Each of your classes can have different allow lists and block lists. To set up your allow list, click on the globe button on the right-hand side of your dashboard. When you click on the globe, a pop-up window will appear with a list of websites you've already added to your allow list or sites that have been added by your administrator. In this case, we have IXL, YouTube, and Lexia Learning. You can customize this list and add new sites whenever you'd like. For example, if you decide you no longer want students to be able to visit YouTube, you can toggle it off, but leave access to IXL and Lexia Learning open. Now students can't visit YouTube when the allow only rule is applied. Let's take a closer look at YouTube. You'll notice that next to the site name there's an arrow. Clicking the arrow reveals a list of subdomains for individual YouTube videos. You can limit students' access to YouTube, but still allow access to a specific YouTube video by toggling this URL on. Now students can visit IXL, this particular YouTube video, and Lexia Learning. To add a website to the allow list, type the URL, in this case Khan Academy, in the bar at the top of the window. You can also add a display name to make it easily recognizable when you come back to edit your allow list. Click the plus button and you'll see Khan Academy is now added to your list of allowed sites. To edit the sites in the block list, simply toggle this switch at the top. The block list works very much like the allow list, except here you add sites you don't want students to have access to. As you can see, ESPN and YouTube are included on this block list. If a particular gaming site is distracting a lot of students in your class, you can easily add that site to your block list by typing in the URL and clicking the plus button. And just like with your allow list, you can open access to any of these sites on the block list at any time by clicking the toggle so it turns gray. Let's go back to the allow list. A great feature of both the allow list and block list is the ability to organize your sites and rules in folders. This is really helpful if you teach multiple subjects or use different types of EdTech tools each day that you want to control access to. To add a folder, click on the plus button and then double-click on New Folder to name it. We'll call this folder Reading. Click Save and you'll see your new folder at the top. Once the folder is saved, you can start adding sites that you do or don't want students to access. Coming soon, you'll also be able to share these folders with other teachers if you teach the same class, or simply like the block list another teacher has set up. If your school uses Windows laptops or MacBooks, NetRef allows you to also manage app activity on those devices. The icon below the globe with the squares on it is the Manage Apps button. Once you click on the Manage Apps button, you'll see that creating app rules is similar to setting up your allow list and block list for websites. Right now, we're looking at allowed applications. You might use the App Allow list to only allow students to access Microsoft Word when you've assigned them to work on a research paper. But you might turn off access to Word and open access to Chrome so students can't access their notes when they're taking an online test. You'll see on the right side of the Manage Apps pop-up that the same 4 icons that appear on student tiles and on the teacher dashboard also appear here. To allow students access to only the Microsoft Word and Chrome applications, you would click the Allow List icon on the right side of the pop-up window to lock them into these two apps. You'll notice that the Manage App button on the teacher dashboard is highlighted in orange. That lets you know that students can now only access the applications you've specified. If we want to apply a block list rule, toggle the switch in the top left corner, then select the sites you don't want to allow access to, like Microsoft Word and Minecraft. To apply the rules, click the block list icon in the pop-up window. Notice that the Manage App button on the teacher dashboard is now blue, indicating that the block list rules for apps was applied. Let's take another look at the individual student tiles. You'll see that Susan is on Instagram. If we right-click on Susan's tile, a number of different action options pop up. You can choose to visit the site Susan is on if you're not sure what that website is. You can add the site to your allow list or block list. You can close the website on Susan's device, or you can push the website Susan is on out to the whole class. This push feature is great when you have a long URL and don't want to waste instructional time waiting for students to navigate to a page. In this example with Susan, I may not want her to be on Instagram, so I can get her back on task by sending her to another site. Just click on Push a Site to Student to open a window where you can choose a site from the list of URLs in your Allow and Block lists. Or you can add a new site to the list. Click Push Site, and a tab with this website will now automatically open on Susan's device. Let's right-click on Emily's tile this time. You'll see an option to send a message to a student. When you click on that option, a box will open up where you can type in a note. When you click Send, your message will show up on Emily's device. If you want to send a message to multiple students or to your whole class, you can do that too. Click on the Message button in the right column of icons. You'll see a list of all the students in your class. Select individual students you want to send a message to, or select All to send a message to your whole class. You can also search for an individual student to send a message to. Once you've selected who you want to message, simply type your note and click Send. The next button in the right column is the Push feature. You can push websites to a select group of students or your entire class. When you click this button, another pop-up will open and you can select the students you want to send a website to. Type in the URL you want to redirect students to. Click Push, and that website will open on the devices of the students you've selected to send it to. The last button on the right-hand side of the dashboard enables you to share your screen with your students. To share your screen, click on this button. This pop-up looks similar to the Messages and Push pop-up. Select students you would like to share your screen with. When you click Broadcast, you'll be able to choose the screen or application on your computer that you want to share with your students. In addition to sharing your own screen, you can view a student's screen or share that student's screen with the class. For example, if we want to share what Dave is working on in Khan Academy with the class, click on his tile. Then click on the eye icon. This opens up a window where you can click on Screen Share. When you click Start, you'll be able to see what Dave is working on in real time. You can watch as Dave solves the problem. If you want to show the class how Dave worked through the problem to find the solution, you can share Dave's screen. When you click the Broadcast button in the upper left, you can select which students you want to share Dave's screen with, or choose to share it with the whole class. Click the Broadcast button in the pop-up window, and the students you've selected will be able to see Dave's screen and can watch as he solves the problem. Let's go back to Caitlin's tile and take a look at a few more features of NetRef. When you click on Caitlin's tile and click the I button again, you'll see the Screen Share feature we just walked through, along with Screenshot, History, and Permanent Block List. The History tab shows you all the sites Caitlin has visited, time-stamped to the minute. Right now, we're looking at the sites Caitlin visited June 11th. At 5:42, you'll see she spent less than a minute on nationalgeographic.com. Then she went to udemy.com and spent a minute. If you scroll through the full list of websites Caitlin visited June 11th, you'll get a good idea of how she was spending her time that day. If you want to get a better idea of what Caitlin was doing on any of the sites she visited, you can click the camera icon to the right of the timestamp. In this window, you'll find screenshots taken while Caitlin was on a particular website. Caitlin was on YouTube for 4 minutes, but was that 4 minutes spent learning? It looks like Caitlin was on task for a while, but then got distracted by funny cat videos. Screenshots are helpful for determining if students are really on task while online, and for auditing purposes if an issue is reported. Screenshots are saved for 2 weeks. There's also a permanent block list tab at the top of the window. Since Caitlin can't seem to resist YouTube and its endless supply of funny cat videos, you can add YouTube to her permanent block list. Once you've done that, she won't be able to pull up her favorite kitten videos, even when she's in Allow All mode or when YouTube is on the allow list for other students in the class. Okay, let's look at the very last feature in the right column of your dashboard. The toggle button at the very bottom lets you see a different view of student activity on their devices. Right now, when the toggle is in Screens mode, when you look in the student tiles, you're seeing a screenshot of the site each student is on currently. When you switch the toggle to Tabs, you'll see the names of the sites students have recently visited. As students move from site to site, the list on their tiles will grow. You'll see that Dave is on nationalgeographic.com right now, but was on scholastic.com and buzzmath.com before that. To go back to the screenshot view, just slide the toggle back to Screens. Let's jump back to the left-hand side of your dashboard and explore class options at the bottom of the list. Your student information system is a great place to pull your class rosters from, but we know that SIS aren't always up to date, or you may need to create custom groups or classes, like a study hall or club. To create a custom or ad hoc class, click on the Add Class in the top left corner. Give the class a name. In this case, we'll create a robotics club. Then select the school the club is associated with and click Next. Select any students you want to be a part of the new class. We'll choose Emily, Lyle, Colin, and Katie and move them to the Assigned Students column. Once the class is saved, it will appear in your list of classes and on the left-hand side of your dashboard. When you select this class, you'll see the students you assigned to it. On the main class options page, you can also sync with Google Classroom. Or, if your student information system pulls in classes you do not want to see, you can click on the eye icon to hide them from your class list that appears in the left column of your dashboard. You can also change class names. For example, you can rename English 101 to First Period. If your student information system has created duplicate classes, you can merge them together. Let's see how easy it is to merge First Period and Computer Science 8. Just select both classes, click Merge, select which class you want to appear as the primary class, and click Merge again. Now you'll see the two classes have been combined. Lastly, if you click to edit a class again, you can automate rules for each of your classes. Input which period the class is, and then choose the rule you want to apply at the beginning of that period. If you choose an allow list or block list, you can also choose a folder that contains specific rules. Here, we are selecting the science folder that we set up earlier. Once the bell rings for the start of a new class period, the rules you have chosen will automatically be applied. The last thing we're going to review is the reports that are available from your dashboard. Let's start with the student report in the lower left-hand corner of your dashboard. You can view a usage report for any student in any of the classes that you teach. We'll take a look at Math 101 and Colin's usage. Once you've selected the class and student, click on this arrow to apply a custom time frame filter, or select from the options here, like entire school year, current month, or just the previous week, like we've selected here. Once you've selected your time frame, click this orange button to generate the report. So, what are we looking at? In the first report on the left, you can see the number of unique sites Colin visited last week. You can change what you're viewing in the dropdown so you can look at total blocked sites or total time online, too. To the right is a pie chart showing the time Colin spent on task versus off task. NetRef generates this chart by comparing the total time Colin spent on the approved sites on your allow list versus sites not on the list. This gives you a quick way to know how often students are staying on task versus getting distracted. All of the charts you see on this page can be printed or downloaded and saved as an image. Keep scrolling down the page and you'll find the top sites chart. This top 50 list is invaluable for understanding how students are managing their time in class. It can be printed off for parent-teacher conferences or used to discuss time management strategies with the student. In this example, Colin visited Pandora and Spotify most often last week. Both of these music streaming sites could be distracting Colin from instruction and his schoolwork. You can click on each site name to see a list of the top 5 pages or subdomains Colin visited while on them. The last report in the Student Report tab is the Rule Application Pie Chart. Here you can see what rules you're using most for Colin during Math 101 to get a better idea of how you're helping keep Colin focused on learning. Let's switch over to the class reports now. The class reports provide the same great information that you can access in the Student Reports tab, but data is aggregated for an entire class. You can choose your class. We'll pick Spanish 403. Then pick the date range you want to review, in this case, the current week. Run the report to see the site data for the week. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, there's an additional report that is perfect for comparing the usage of a particular site between every student in the selected class. In this example, for Schoology.com, those students highlighted in red spend more time or less time on the website compared to those students within the average, noted in green. This is great for determining students who may be off task or struggling. Thanks for walking through the NetRef Teacher Dashboard with me. You've now learned everything you need to know to start using NetRef to manage students' internet and app activity so you can minimize distractions and maximize learning. It's really that easy. All it takes is a couple clicks. If you ever have questions or need help, you can access on-demand support videos by clicking on your name on the Teacher Dashboard and then the Support tab. You can also call us at 844-638-7331 or email support@net-ref.com. We're always happy to assist. Happy teaching! Thanks for choosing NetRef.